You ever meet someone who's always asking, but never giving, someone who makes everything about them every time? Let me be real with you. There are certain asks people make that seem small, but they're red flags, silent warnings. And if you ignore them long enough, they'll cost you your peace, your time, and even your identity. Let's talk about 5 things people ask for that should make you walk the other way fast. You know, one of the biggest wake-up calls in life is realizing that not everyone who wants your time deserves your time. And that's a hard truth, especially for those of us who were raised to be generous with our energy, always showing up, always giving the benefit of the doubt. But let me say this plainly, your time is not cheap. It's not disposable. And when someone consistently asks for your time without respecting it, they are not interested in you. They're interested in what you can do for them. It starts subtle. They text you late at night, knowing you've got a full day tomorrow. They show up with their problems over and over, expecting you to drop everything and listen. But they never ask how you're doing. They call you for favors, advice, errands, a shoulder to cry on. But the moment you need something, silence, crickets. That same energy you pour into them, you won't see a drop of it coming back. And here's the thing. When you're a giver, you don't always notice when someone's taking advantage. You're so used to showing up, so used to being dependable, that you start to normalize being drained. You start to confuse being needed with being valued. But those two things are not the same. Let me say that again. Being needed is not the same as being valued, because someone can need you without respecting you. They can need you for your energy, your compassion, your listening ear, but that doesn't mean they see you. That doesn't mean they care about how you're doing, how your heart is holding up, how your schedule is stretched to the limit. If the only time your phone rings is when someone wants something from you, you're not in a relationship, you're in a transaction, and you deserve better than that. Now, I want to talk to the people pleasers for a second. The fixers, I've got it, no problem crowd. You're the ones who say yes even when you're tired, even when you're emotionally tapped out, even when your own world is crumbling. You say yes because you don't want to let anyone down. But listen to me, you are letting someone down, you're letting yourself down. Every time you put your own peace on hold to cater to someone who wouldn't do the same for you, you're betraying your own boundaries. And I know it feels selfish to say no, it feels cold, but boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are clarity. They're honesty. When you say, I can't talk right now, I need time for myself, that's not rejection, it's respect. Respect for your time, for your energy, for your mental health. The truth is, when someone asks for your time and doesn't value it, they're showing you who they are. They're showing you their priorities. People make time for what they care about. And if someone always finds time for their own needs but never makes space for yours, that's not love. That's not friendship. That's convenience. And here's where it gets real. When you stop giving your time so freely, some people will get upset. They'll say, you've changed. They'll call you selfish, distant, dramatic. But let me tell you something. You are not here to be everyone's emotional dumping ground. You are not here to be the default support system for people who can't show up in return. You are allowed to protect your time like it's gold, because your time is your life. And you don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life. Not friends, not family, not coworkers, not partners. You don't owe explanations for taking care of yourself. You don't have to justify peace. You don't need permission to rest, to recharge, to be unavailable to people who never made themselves available to you. So the next time someone asks for your time, ask yourself, do they respect it? Do they understand that time is sacred? That energy is limited? That attention is a gift? Or are they just looking for another moment to make it about them? Because if it's the latter, the most loving thing you can do for them and for yourself is step back and don't apologize for that pause. Don't explain it away. The people who deserve you will never punish you for protecting your peace. That's the line you draw. Loyalty is one of those words that gets thrown around so easily, but rarely do people stop to think about what it actually means. It sounds beautiful, powerful, and it is. But here's the truth. Real loyalty is not something you hand out like candy. It's not something someone gets just because they asked nicely or because they've been in your life for a long time. Loyalty has to be earned. It has to be built brick by brick through trust, consistency, and shared values. And if someone is asking you for your loyalty before they've done the work to deserve it, that's a red flag you need to pay attention to. There are people who will expect your unwavering loyalty simply because they're close to you, because they have a title, family, friend, partner, boss. They expect you to take their side, to defend them, to stand behind them no matter what they do or how they treat you. And if you don't, they'll try to guilt you, shame you, push you into silence or submission. But here's what I've learned: when someone demands loyalty without accountability, they're not asking for a relationship. They're asking for control. Real loyalty doesn't require blind obedience. It doesn't ask you to betray yourself in the name of standing by someone else. True loyalty is mutual. It's based on respect, on honesty, on the understanding that both of you are willing to show up for each other, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not one-sided. It doesn't operate under fear or pressure or the need to keep the peace at the cost of your own integrity. And let me tell you, some of the most dangerous asks come wrapped in the language of loyalty. If you really care about me, you'll take my side. Don't tell anyone about this. It's between us. You owe me this after everything I've done for you. Those aren't signs of love. They're signs of emotional manipulation. Because someone who truly values you will never ask you to compromise who you are just to prove your loyalty to them. And I want you to really sit with that. Someone who genuinely cares about you will not put you in a position where loyalty to them requires disloyalty to yourself. You should never have to lie, shrink, or stay silent to keep someone comfortable. That's not loyalty, that's self-abandonment. A lot of us were taught to be loyal to a fault. Stay loyal to friends we outgrew, to family members who constantly disrespect us, to relationships that stopped being safe a long time ago. We were told that walking away makes you weak or ungrateful. But let me be clear, loyalty is not about endurance. It's not about how much you can take. It's about alignment. And when someone's actions consistently go against your values, your peace, your well-being, you do not owe them a front row seat in your life just because of history. That's the thing about earned loyalty. It's not based on length of time. It's based on depth of character. How do they treat you when no one's watching? How do they speak about you when you're not in the room? Are they loyal to air you? Because if they're not, then what exactly are you being loyal to? Some people want loyalty from you, but they don't want to reciprocate it. They want you to stand by them while they move shady, act inconsistent, and keep hurting you. They want your silence while they cross lines and expect you to clean up the mess. That's not a healthy bond. That's a one-sided agreement where you keep paying a cost that only benefits them. And here's the truth. You can still love someone and outgrow your loyalty to them. You can care deeply about a person and still decide that the relationship isn't built on the kind of mutual respect that deserves your continued investment. That doesn't make you cold. That makes you wise. So the next time someone asks you for your loyalty, don't just ask, how close are we? Ask, how consistent have they been? Have they shown up for me when I needed them? Far have they earned the trust that loyalty requires? Because loyalty, when given to the wrong person, will keep you stuck in cycles that drain your spirit and dim your light. And you weren't put here to shrink for anyone else's comfort. There is something sacred about opening up to someone, sharing your story, your truth, your struggles, letting someone see behind the curtain, the messy parts, the painful parts, the pieces of you you've worked so hard to protect. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's strength. It's brave. And yet there are people who will ask for that vulnerability, who will lean in like they care, only to use what you've shared as leverage, as gossip, or as ammunition later. That's why we need to be discerning about who we give access to the deeper parts of us. When someone asks for your secrets, your pain, your doubts, your raw emotions, but doesn't give you a safe space in return, what they're really doing is setting you up to be exposed, not supported. And that's a dangerous place to be, because intimacy is not just about what we share. It's about how what we share is handled. There are people who ask you to open up, but when you do, they flinch, they shift the conversation, they downplay what you're going through, or worse, they store it away, waiting for a time when it benefits them to bring it up. That's not safety. That's surveillance. That's not a friend. That's someone collecting your wounds like receipts. And here's the part that hurts. The people who do this often present themselves as trustworthy. They look the part. They say all the right things. You can talk to me. You know I'm always here. But what they're really offering is a spotlight, not shelter. And once you realize that, it can shake you. It can make you want to shut down and never open up again. But don't let the wrong people harden you. Let them teach you. Let them refine your circle, your instincts, your standards. Because not everyone who listens is listening to understand. Some are listening to compare. Some are listening to judge. Some are listening to use what you say later as proof that you were the weak one in the room. And when you realize that, when you finally see it for what it is, you stop confusing access with intimacy. You stop mistaking curiosity for care. It's not just about what people ask from you. It's about what they offer back. Do they offer compassion? Do they offer protection? Do they offer accountability? Because if they don't, then you are pouring something precious into a space that cannot hold it. Think about this. When you open up to someone, you're offering them the keys to parts of your life most people never see. That is not small. That is not casual. That's a gift. And if they don't treat it with care, if they throw your truth around like it's entertainment or leverage or something to twist, you've got every right to step back, to take those keys back, to lock that door. You don't owe everyone your story. You don't owe everyone your struggles. You can love people from a distance and still keep your heart guarded. You can be kind and still be protective of your energy. Some people say, if you trusted me, you'd tell me everything. But trust doesn't work like that. It's not owed. It's earned. And if someone hasn't created a space where you feel emotionally safe, then no, they don't get access to your deepest wounds. And here's what I've seen time and time again. The people who truly deserve your vulnerability never ask for it like it's something you owe them. They don't pressure you. They don't rush you. They don't poke around in your pain for the sake of curiosity. Instead, they create quiet. They offer presence. They let you come to them when you're ready. And when you do, they honor it. They hold your story like it's sacred because it is the so be careful with those who ask for your secrets but never offer safety, who want your truth but can't handle it, who say, you can tell me anything, but show you with their actions that they're not ready for what you carry. Your vulnerability is not a currency to buy connection. It's a sacred offering, and you get to choose who's earned the right to receive it. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful gifts we can give. It has the ability to heal, to release, to set us free. But forgiveness was never meant to be a revolving door for someone else's bad behavior. It was never meant to be a reset button for people who refuse to change. And yet some people ask for forgiveness like it's automatic, like it's guaranteed, like it's your job to clean up the mess they keep making. I want to speak to the hearts that have been worn down by this, the ones who have forgiven the same person over and over again, hoping, believing that this time would be different, that this time they'd mean it when they said, I'm sorry. That this time they'd finally show up changed. But here's the hard truth. A real apology comes with change. Without that change, the apology is just words, empty, recycled, and used to keep you in a cycle that benefits them more than it heals you. When someone keeps asking for your forgiveness without taking accountability for their actions, they're not interested in growth. They're interested in permission. Permission to hurt you again, permission to avoid discomfort, permission to bypass responsibility. And if you keep giving it, not only do they stay the same, but you begin to shrink. You begin to carry the emotional labor of their healing while they continue to cause harm. And this is not about being bitter. It's not about holding grudges or keeping score. It's about honoring your peace, because forgiveness is a gift, but it's also a boundary. It says, I release you from what you did, but I won't allow you to keep doing it. It says, I've healed from the wound, but I won't give you another chance to cut me in the same place. Some people don't want forgiveness. They want access. And they'll say all the right things to get it. They'll apologize. They'll promise. They'll cry. But when the emotion fades, the pattern remains. And if someone keeps showing you who they are through repeated harm, broken promises, lack of accountability, at some point, it's no longer about them. It's about what you're choosing to allow. You can forgive someone and still walk away. You can forgive someone and still say, I love you, but I love myself enough to not stay in this. Forgiveness doesn't mean putting yourself back in harm's way. It means releasing resentment, not signing up for pain. And let me say this clearly, you are not obligated to keep forgiving someone who keeps choosing the same behavior. You're not cruel for drawing the line. You're not heartless for saying enough. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for both of you is stop giving them another chance to disappoint you. Because every time you forgive without change, you're not just healing, you're enabling. You're teaching them that the consequences will always be soft, that your boundaries will always bend, that your love will always make room, even when their actions don't deserve it. And I know it's not easy, especially when the person is close to you, when it's family, when it's someone you've invested years with. But proximity doesn't make abuse acceptable. Time doesn't turn patterns into love. You don't owe anyone your continued presence just because you've forgiven them. Some people belong in your past, even the ones you've forgiven. True accountability sounds different. Yeah. It doesn't rush your healing. It doesn't pressure you to move on. It sits with the discomfort. It asks, what can I do to make this right? And then actually follows through. It shows up with changed behavior, not just changed tone. And you deserve that. You deserve someone who doesn't just apologize. You deserve someone who adjusts. So the next time someone asks for your forgiveness, ask yourself, what are they doing with it? Are they using it to become better? Or are they using it to become more comfortable in staying the same? Because forgiveness is a door, not a doormat. And you get to decide who walks through it and who doesn't. There's a moment we all face at some point, the moment when someone close to us looks us in the eye and asks us to stay quiet. Not because we're wrong, not because we're being unkind, but because the truth we're holding makes them uncomfortable. And in that moment, we're being asked to choose truth or peace. But let me tell you something. If the only way to have peace with someone is to silence yourself, that's not peace. That's control. There are people who will ask for your silence in subtle ways. They'll shift the subject. They'll tell you, let it go. Before you've even said how you feel, they'll say things like, why are you bringing this up now? Or you're overreacting, even when your voice is trembling from holding it in for too long. These are not just dismissals. They are quiet demands. Demands for you to put their comfort above your truth. And when you do it enough, when you hold your tongue, when you swallow your feelings, when you make yourself small to keep the peace, you begin to forget that your voice matters. You start believing that speaking up is dangerous, that honesty is somehow hurtful, that standing up for yourself is a betrayal to the relationship. But it's not. Speaking the truth is not betrayal. It's a boundary. I want to speak to the people who have been taught that silence is strength, that keeping things in is noble, that being the bigger person means never saying what you really feel. No, being the bigger person doesn't mean being the quiet one. Being the bigger person means choosing integrity over avoidance. And sometimes that means having the hard conversations. Sometimes that means saying the thing no one wants to hear, not to hurt anyone, but to honor yourself. Because your voice carries weight. It carries your story, your perspective, your lived experience. And when someone asks you to stay silent so they can stay comfortable, what they're really asking is for you to disappear a little, to dim down, to pretend that everything's fine when it's not. And that's a slow kind of erosion of self-worth, of connection, of authenticity. Now, I'm not talking about being loud just for the sake of it. I'm not talking about confrontation without compassion. I'm talking about truth with clarity. I'm talking about speaking up when something doesn't sit right, when your needs aren't being met, when a boundary is being crossed, when someone you care about is hurting you and they don't want to acknowledge it. That's when your voice becomes not just important, but necessary. But here's the reality. The moment you start using your voice, the people who benefited from your silence will push back. They'll call you difficult, dramatic, sensitive. They'll say, you've changed, and you have. You've started to remember that your comfort matters too, that your feelings are valid, that your truth is just as worthy of space as theirs. And if that threatens the relationship, if the bond can't survive your honesty, then it was never as strong as you thought. Real relationships make space for real conversations. Real love can handle discomfort. Real connection is not built on silence. It's built on truth spoken in love. So don't let anyone guilt you into staying quiet. Don't let anyone convince you that their comfort is more important than your clarity. You were not put here to be agreeable at the expense of your own voice. You were not put here to nod and smile while your soul is screaming inside. You were put here to live fully, speak honestly, and stand firmly in who you are. And yes, there will be people who walk away when you stop silencing yourself. But the ones who stay, the ones who lean in when you speak truth, they are the ones worth building with, because they see your voice not as a threat, but as a bridge. So when someone asks for your silence in the face of what's real, remember this: protecting their comfort is not your responsibility, but protecting your voice is. There's a kind of ask that isn't always spoken out loud, but you feel it. You feel it in the way someone looks at you when you show up fully. You feel it in the way they respond when you speak with confidence, when you take up space, when you're proud of yourself, when you shine just a little too brightly for their comfort. And even if the words never leave their mouth, what they're asking is, clear F, can you tone it down? Can you be a little less you? And it's subtle. They don't say, change who you are, but they shift when you grow. They get quiet when you succeed. They make jokes that sting a little too much. They call you too much when you're simply being honest. And the unspoken request beneath all of it is this: shrink yourself so I don't have to grow. Stay small so I can stay comfortable. And let me tell you, no one has the right to ask that of you. No one has the right to dim your light just because they haven't found theirs yet. It is not your responsibility to make other people feel more secure by making yourself less powerful. If your strength makes them uncomfortable, that's of their work to do, not yours. And still, so many of us have done it. We've silenced our brilliance to keep the peace. We've held back our opinions to avoid conflict. We've made ourselves more palatable, more digestible, more likable because we didn't want to lose love. Because somewhere along the way, we were taught that being accepted was more important than being authentic. But what I've learned is this acceptance that comes at the cost of your identity isn't acceptance at all. It's performance, and performing will wear you out. You deserve to be around people who see you in your fullness and say, yes, that's who I want around me. People who celebrate your voice, not just tolerate it. People who aren't intimidated by your clarity, your boundaries, your self-awareness, but inspired by it. If someone feels the need to pull you back every time you step forward, they are not your people. That's not support. That's control dressed up as connection. And I know it's hard when it's someone close to you, a friend you've had for years, a partner who once clapped for your wins, a family member who's been part of every chapter. But when their comfort starts to rely on your compromise, it's time to reevaluate the terms of that relationship, because the people who truly love you won't just want a version of you. They'll want all of you, the real, whole, evolving you. Sometimes people ask for a smaller version of us because they're afraid of what our growth means for them, afraid it will expose their stagnation, afraid it will shift the balance of the relationship, afraid that they'll lose control. And in their fear, they make you feel like the problem, like you're selfish for choosing yourself, like you've changed. And you know what? You have changed. You've grown. You've healed. You've learned to value your voice. You've realized that you don't need to be less to be loved. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. And here's the truth. The more you step into your full self, the more you'll start to notice who's uncomfortable with it. That discomfort is information. Let it guide you, not into guilt, but into clarity. Because the people who can't handle your light are showing you they were never prepared to walk beside you in the first place. Don't shrink to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Don't soften your edges to protect other people's insecurities. You weren't made to live a half life just to make someone else feel whole. And the moment you stop apologizing for your presence, your power, your truth, that's when you start to attract the kind of love, the kind of friendships, the kind of life that was meant for the real you. So if someone ever asks you to be less so they can feel like more, know this: